Hello, and welcome back to the Soundbox. This is your humble Harmsy, and today, as I said, I am going to be making some kerfing out of this piece of poplar. And we're going to start by cutting a strip about, I'd say finger width. And then once I have that strip cut, I'm going to unplug the bandsaw and take out the little safety key, open up the top side here, and turn the pulley by hand to move the blade, because with it moving that slowly, I can still get kerf cuts fairly quickly, but still have it going slowly enough that I can get my fingers closer without worrying about accidentally cutting myself, because this is a very high precision cutting job. I need to get as close as possible without going all the way through, because then I can get this as flexible as possible. So, okay, now that I have a piece of kerfing in hand, I can go ahead and explain what it is and what it's for. Basically, you cut a lot of little slots almost all the way through, and the reasoning is very thin wood is very flexible, but doesn't have a lot of gluing space. Very thick wood, on the other hand, does have plenty of gluing space, but it don't bend so easily. So, kerfing is the compromise that allows you to bend the piece of wood and give you more surface area to glue your top on. And it goes like this. And now to attach this, I of course need my glue, but I also need something to hold it in place. And these big old clamps are too big and cumbersome and will dent the wood. So instead, I'm going to do something that I saw somewhere else on YouTube. I got myself some clothespins, and I got myself some rubber bands. And I'm going to put the rubber bands on the clothespins to give them a little bit more force, and then put them on the piece of kerfing after I glue it to this piece of wood right here. Ugh. Okay, now that this is glued and clothespinned up, I gotta make 3 more of those little flexible bits. You didn't think I forgot about the straight sides, did you? Ta-da! It's done! I had a little bit of trouble with this back piece here and needed to use a little bit bigger of a clamp. And I had to modify these clothespins, and if you can, well, where's one that's not modified? Here we go. As you can see here, this one is an unmodified clothespin, and this, you can see, I had to take to the belt sander in order to fit around these spots easily. But as I said, it is done, and now I just need to clean up the excess glue, get rid of any wood that sticks out above it, and then this will be ready to have a top glued on. But I don't have a top to glue it on, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this to the scanner, go pull up Blender, and try out a few design ideas for the sound hole, the bracing, placement of the bridge, and that sort of stuff. So let me meet you there. Alrighty, I have come up with a design I like, and this is not it. Before I show it to you, I'm just going to go ahead and talk you through some of the designs and iterations that I've passed on. And this was the first one, and it was a good start. I like it, it's nice and graceful, but it felt a little bit boring, so I decided to try a couple other things, like mimicking the F-hole of a violin very badly with this one. And then I decided to go back to the mimicking the violin F-hole route, but with this original shape by just nudging the corners, like so, narrowing it down. And this is a much more graceful shape than the original, and it would be a very good contender. However, it was at this point that I realized sharp corners are bad, they're structural weak points, we don't want them. So I bulged them out and came up with this, and this looked more feasible and slightly less graceful, but still plenty graceful. But I wanted to keep going, see what else I could come up with, and this was the next thing I came up with, which is a much more accurate imitation of a violin F hole, but it wasn't quite doing it for me, so I decided to try some more, and I also realized that the bridge was too low. The longest tine was about 3 inches, and I had the bridge less than 3 inches away from that bottom edge, so I moved it up, turned the sharp things into a bulge here, and sort of gentled out these curves and came up with this. And this looked a lot nicer. However, I also realized that, hey, there's these vertical overhangs here that are going to break off if this instrument gets used a whole bunch. So I iterated the design again and came up with this. I reduced the center bulge quite a bit, and I lowered the lower arm and raised the upper arm so that there wouldn't be the overhang, but there would still be that bulge and still be that S shape there. And I liked this. I was satisfied with this. This was going to be my final design. So I'm going to go ahead and print this up later, but I also decided to start thinking about the bracing, and this is the pattern that I came up with. Let's just go ahead and superimpose it on the design. What you'll notice here is that those red bits are over the holes of the tension bar. Well, they will be under the holes of the tension bar. They are going to be thinner and broader than the other braces, which will each be 1/4 inch wide. And the purpose these guys serve is just to give a little bit more support to the T-nuts that are going to be holding that tension bar on. Also, you'll notice there is another brace in the middle there of the bridge. That's just to add a little bit of extra rigidity in the middle, hopefully so that it doesn't bow the wood inwards like it did on my first build. And of course I've got another brace above and below for the same reason. And then just to add a little bit more stiffness and a little bit more tonal range to mess with, I added 2 more legs down on either side of the sound hole, resulting in this sort of Japanese looking thing that you see in front of you now. But I'm not going to be doing any of that this video because I think it would be best to do that with a small, precise handsaw about the size of this light here. And I don't have anything like that, so I'm going to have to put that off for just a bit. And I'm also not going to be cutting the back just yet because I need to build a thickness sander first. So that's going to do it for this video, and until next time, I've got a little bit of cleaning up to do. Bye-bye!